Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really wild, a kind of philosophical ghost. We're looking at a lost version of Nietzsche's The Gay Science, not as the book we know, but as a raw prophetic gospel from a parallel reality. Let's see what it has to show us.
Okay, so let's just imagine for a second. What if his famous work, The Gay Science, or The Joyful Wisdom, wasn't some polished book you'd find in a library? What if instead it was this collection of raw, unedited, and incredibly intense notes? A kind of revelation that slipped through from another existence.
So we're going to follow this path he lays out, which is basically an inverted divine comedy. It's a trip that flips Dante's journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven completely on its head. And honestly, it promises to totally reshape how we see his most radical ideas.
So our journey begins. But forget everything you know about hell. We're not talking about fire and brimstone here. No, for Nietzsche, the real danger, the real hell, is something he called the void.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because Nietzsche just completely inverts the classic idea of hell. For him, the ultimate damnation isn't some big dramatic punishment. It's a passive, comfortable, soul-crushing lack of will. It's apathy.
He calls this the great indifference, and this is the hell where his famous last men live. They aren't screaming in agony, they're just chilling. They want comfort, they want security, and nothing else. It's a modern kind of nihilism, where the greatest danger isn't despair, but just being content.
And this phrase just nails it, doesn't it? This was his deepest fear. The idea that the world could become so safe, so comfortable, that we lose the very fire that makes us want to struggle, to overcome, to create something new.
Okay, so if that's hell, how in the world do you get out? Well, that brings us to the next stage, the climb. This is Nietzsche's version of purgatory. It's a grueling ascent out of that comfortable void.
But here's the twist. Unlike in Dante's version, you're not burning off sins like pride or envy. The sin you're purging here is certainty. It's the comfort of believing in absolute truths and what Nietzsche famously called slave morality. You know, the values that praise being meek and obedient?
So what does this climb actually look like? Well, it's about freeing yourself step by step. First, you ditch the old, hand-me-down ideas of good and evil. Then, you stop looking for someone else to tell you what's true. You start trusting your own creativity, your own artistic will to guide you, until finally, you achieve self-creation. You become the author of your own values.
And after that incredible climb, we finally make it. We reach the peak. But this isn't heaven in some far-off afterlife. Nope. This paradiso, it's right here, on Earth, right now.
At the top, you find this incredible state of mind, amor fati. It literally means love of your fate. It's this powerful ability to look at your entire life, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and say, yes, I want it all. I wouldn't change a single thing. This text even calls it the new grace.
And check out this quote. It's written to sound just like a Bible verse, which is the whole point. It's telling us that heaven isn't someplace out there among the stars. It's right here, inside of you, in the will that can love its own life so much that it would want to live it over and over again forever.
This really helps visualize it. Life isn't a straight line that just ends. It's a circle, a ring of rings, as the text says. Everything, the pain, the joy, the struggle, the triumph, it all comes back around, and it's all part of this perfect, necessary whole.
So, we've been on this wild, Dantesque journey. But let's pull back for a second and ask the big question, why? Why frame his philosophy this way? What's the point of this whole prophetic, gospel-like tone?
The answer is just brilliant. It's a deliberate act of what you could call philosophical hijacking. See, Nietzsche isn't just trying to beat old values with arguments. He's stealing their most powerful weapon, the language of the sacred itself, to deliver a message that is totally anti-sacred.
And you could just feel that raw power, right? This isn't a suggestion. It's a thunderous proclamation. It's announcing that the old God is gone, and now the terrifying, liberating burden of creating meaning, well, it's squarely on our shoulders.
And you see this hijacking technique so clearly here. It's a complete inversion. He's basically taking the Sermon on the Mount and flipping it on its head. Instead of, blessed are the meek, his prophet Zarathustra says, blessed are the strong of will, for they shall inherit the power.
And look at this. It's the 10 Commandments versus what you could call the anti-commandments. Every single one is a direct challenge. It's a monumental shift away from a morality of thou shalt obey to a brand new one based on thou shalt create.
So when you put it all together, you see the game plan. This fifth gospel is designed like a weapon. It's meant to shock us out of our apathy, to grab that secret language and use its authority to point us back to this life and to turn philosophy into a real, hands-on tool for building yourself.
And really, that's the core revelation of this whole lost text. For Nietzsche, if you want to build a new, life-affirming spirituality, you can't just come up with new ideas. You have to go back, take the very language that has moved humanity for centuries, and forge it into something new.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty intense thought to chew on. If being divine really just means creating your own values, then what's your first commandment?